Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making project. In this episode we're going to make a condolence card. We're going to make a card that will still have your spin on it and your creativity, but something that's not too loud and that still respects the person that you send it to, letting them know that you're thinking about them in their time of need. Because it is important that, we send condolence cards, as difficult as it is to sometimes make them. We want them to be beautiful using our gorgeous stash, but we don't want them to be too colourful or too loud. So I think this is a good project, and I hope it helps, because sometimes with it being difficult to make a condolence card, you may be out of ideas, or you maybe just need that that hand that's going to hold yours while you make it. So I hope that does the trick. So the first thing that we're going to need, and everything I do use and need and have, I shall put on my blog in a detailed list, and there'll be extra photos of the cards as well, for all the projects. If you ever want to comment, you can comment on my blog or on Facebook. You can comment on YouTube, but I can't get back to you on YouTube. So just bear that in mind if you want to reply. Your best bet is always Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram. Watch the end screen for all the addresses, and for Twitter. I tweet as well, so not all the time. But you can follow me in different places. So the first thing that we've got is our base card. Now this is a 7x5 inch card. My favourite size of card. We've not used our cardometer for a long time. I'll have to start using that again. I've just used my bone folder to make sure that I've got a nice sharp crease along the edge. And as always, we're going to do the inside first. Now, I've cheated a little bit because I've already started the inside. And what I've done is I've cut out a piece of ivory cardstock that will fit the inside of the card. Now don't get too hung up about having to use the same ivory, because it doesn't matter, especially on this one it doesn't matter, because I've stamped around the edge, and that will take the eye away from the different tones in ivory anyway, and sometimes it's good to just have that little bit of break in colour. So I've stamped around the edge, and I've used one of the stamps that's in Anna's treasury set, and it was actually the rose. And what I've done is, instead of stamping the whole rose, I've just stamped sections of it around the edge, and then I've just simply watercoloured it very faintly in just the pink and the green, just to give it a little bit of colour. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and then I've stamped at the bottom Thinking of You, and that stamp was from Anna's Sentiment stamp and die set. Very handy, very handy set. So I'm going to attach this to the inside of our card like so, and try and get it nice and straight as always. And then for the inner section of this, for something different, now you could leave it like that. If you've got a very long message to write and you need lots of space, you could leave it like that, because it looks beautiful as it is. But sometimes, just to help you out a little bit, without being rude, we don't know what to say. And all we want to say is, we are thinking of you, and, if there's anything you need, please let us know. So in that case, you won't need so much extra space. So what I've done is, I've taken a section of Anna's foil layers. Now we're using, it was a 6x6 foil layer that I've used, and I've cut off a section of it to use for the front, and the other section that's left, I've just added into the middle of the card. And then I've got just one piece of ivory cardstock that I've just tapped around the edge with a dark ink pad and I'm just adding that through the centre. So we've got a little bit of room. I've not added that very straight, have I? That's quite bad for me. And now it's stuck, so it'll have to remain quite bad. So pretend it's all straight and even. But there we've got a smaller space to write, so we don't feel obligated to have to write too much. And it's just such a beautiful inside that's going to match our outside of our card. So I'm just using my bone folder again to make sure that that crease is nice and sharp. And then we can start adding our layers to the outside. Now the first layer is one of Anna's metallic layers. Now normally I'm quite frugal and economical with these, and I haven't been for some reason here. Please don't ask me why I haven't been. I'm quite naughty, so I'll have to chastise myself. But I could have saved some of this layer to use on something else, because we're going to cover the layer up with one of Anna's foil layers. Now what I've done here, this is one of the 7x5 foil layers, and I've simply cut around the edge and just shaped it a little bit and followed the pattern. I've got to admit, the base layer I was going to use black, and I thought, you know what, I don't think black will work as well, because in the old days when somebody passed away, black was always used to edge everything and it looks very formal. Well, for this card, you're sending your condolences to a friend and you want them to know that you respect what's happened to them, but we're not looking for too much darkness for this, because we still want it to be your style. And your style is, you know, your Anna Griffin cards or whatever, you know, whatever company you follow. But I just think this will work without having too much black on it. Our next layer is 2 of the fretwork dies. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add them across the foil layer, like so. And I've got a little bit of double-sided tape on them. And I'm going to leave a gap between them, just slightly. Don't worry about the gap, because whatever's in the middle will take the eye away from that. So that was 2 of the Fretwork 2 die cuts using the metallic cardstock from Anna. Next, now we are going to add a little bit of black here, just as a mark of respect. And I'm going to add this through the centre of our card, like that. I'm going to say trying to get it straight, but I probably won't, so hey ho. And then the extra piece of foil layer, now I've got this on 3D foam, this was the other half of the section from the inside. And there we can just see the black edge that's around the outside. So that's where our dark edge is. Next, we've got another of the fretwork dies. So that's 3 in total for our card. And I'm just going to place it through the centre of that layer. Next, our die cut decoupage. And this is from the beautiful Bouquet decoupage kit, full of die cuts to make up. And you don't have to, if you do it once, you don't have to use them all, you can use them as flat sections. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of glue onto this, she says, and it was going to just help to add the adhesive to the fretwork layer. So I'm just having to stick a pin in my glue because it's bunged itself up. There we go. So that's going to just help sticking down the fretwork die that we've got here. So I'm going to add that roughly about there, I would say. So we've still got our gorgeous flowers on our card. Next, I've got my sentiment. Now this is from the Sympathy sentiment stickers. The 3D stickers, and you just simply peel the back of them away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit more ornate, and I'm going to add a section of the fretwork die that we've used before. I've just trimmed it down. Sorry, it's not that one, it's from the fretwork collection though, and then that way it just adds a little bit of something extra to the actual sentiment itself, like so. I've got tape on the back, and I can simply add that to the bottom of our card like that and press it down. Now when I mentioned about the die cuts and you making them up, because you don't have to use all of it all together, you can always add extra bits. So there's an extra little bit on the sheet, and it's just the lilies, and I'm going to add that just to one side of our sentiment and press it all down to make sure it's stuck nicely. There we go. And that is our card finished. Now I think for a sympathy card, without it being too, I'm going to say in your face, too colourful, too out there, it is just your own style still, with a gorgeous colouring. It stands up nicely. Now you've got a few layers on it. I think it'll still be fine for posting. But you might need a little bit of tissue or bubble wrap or something over it for your layers. Stands up, and it's a pretty card, and it tells somebody how much you're thinking of them, and it sends your respect to them. That's the main thing. And yet it's still your own style, and I think that's a nice one to, you know, to create, or something similar for condolences. And I just hope it maybe helps with ideas and inspiration, because as I say, it's not the easiest of things to create. So please check my blog. There's so many other projects on there. There's bound to be something that catches your eye. There's always the details of everything I've used. And I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.